Well, I was expecting, after losing against Manchester United, for the season to fall apart and for us to be settling into mid-table obscurity. As it happens, we've won every game since bar one. Although I think that game might be the one that triggers our descent into mid-table obscurity. Hello there and welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of Let's Go Hams. I'm Stubo. Thank you very much for joining me in the latest video of this save. If you've been enjoying the save so far, enjoying? That's not even a word, Stu. Enjoying the save so far, please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel as well for more Football Manager awesomeness. Since you were last with me, as I said in the intro, we've won all of the football games, and I don't really know how. Well, I say all of the football games, all bar one. You were last with us here against Manchester United, where we lost 2-1. Very unlucky to lose 2-1 as well. Still feel a bit sour about that one. But then, as you can see, we've been on a bit of a run, which was quite nice. Now, granted, most of these teams are ones you would expect us to win. 3 in the league, all against teams who are at least teams we should be competing against. And as you can see, we beat Crystal Palace, we beat Aston Villa, we thrashed Burnley, which were all very good results. We even beat Napoli again somehow and ended our Champions League run with, I think, a 100% record. Napoli, Frankfurt, Vienna, Napoli. Yeah, we did. 100% record in the Europa League. Fantastic. That's always a good thing. But as I said, we beat Crystal Palace 3-1. Rodrigo finally clicking as a striker, getting a hat-trick in that game, a 15-minute hat-trick as well. And then Jordan Ayew scoring late on after the game was already done. Aston Villa, this was a bit more of a tricky one. We did get 2 goals ahead, but then Morgan Sanson in the 74th minute did put one in the back of the net. They were a lot closer to us than they should have been in this game. A little bit disappointing on our part, but we saw the game out. That was the main thing. And then Burnley showed up at the London Stadium and we just pumped 5 past them, which was glorious. We were 2-0 up. They then scored, and that kind of triggered us to go, well, we're not letting that happen. And we just pumped 3 past them towards the end of the second half, which was glorious. Rodrigo getting another goal. He's actually scored 3, 4... So he scored 5 games in this... 5 games? Goodness me, Stu. 5 goals in this 6-game run. Which has been fantastic. We then went to Fulham, and it was a bit of a closer game than that suggests, but we did beat them 3-0, which was fantastic. Mikel Antonio, once again, as I've said before, he can score a goal when it's a worldie, but when he wants to tap one in, it's not a very good thing. But we then did go to Stamford Bridge and get pretty comprehensively dismantled by Chelsea. You can see some of the ratings there are not good. It wasn't a good performance from us. They did put us to the sword quite easily, more easier than the scoreline suggests, which does leave us with a game against Liverpool in the Premier League. Now, it is at home, and the last time we played them at Anfield, we did beat them, but it was in the EFL, not in the EFL Cup. It was in the EFL Cup, actually, and this is the 11 that they put out, actually. As you can see, it was quite a well-rested 11. They are the team we're going to be opening the game with today, and then we are going to be going into the transfer window. Speaking of transfers, I have done some business which I don't think I've shown you. We'll quickly show you that. So we've already seen Darren Randolph had left, I believe. So these are the transfers we made. Craig Dawson is leaving. The reason he's leaving is because I want to say we had a contract dispute with him, or it was a playtime dispute, and I ended up just selling him. I just thought, you know what, I don't really want to hold on to him much longer than this season. He's 31 years old. Let's go for someone who maybe is as good as him but a bit younger. And that's what we did. James Tarkowski has got his contract coming up at the end of the season, so we capitalised. 2 million, rising to 4.5 million. I think for a player of his quality, is he the best player in the world? No, but he can do a job, and I think that is a really good signing for us. We'll do a job for a couple of seasons, then we'll upgrade him. I think that's a solid signing. We also have signed a new striker, Julian Alvarez. Now, I've heard of this player from a couple of other saves that I've seen so far in FM, so I feel a little bit cheeky doing this one because it feels like one of the obvious ones, but I actually think this could be a good one. What I do love, however, is that his best position is apparently as a striker, and his best role and duty is as an inverted winger. Last time I checked, those two don't go together, but whatever. We're going to play him either way, and hopefully he'll do a good job for us. I have every confidence that he will, but of course none of these guys are, well, none of them, neither of these guys are arriving until the 2nd of January. So we need to get past Liverpool before we even get close to that. Speaking of which, this is the 11 we're going to go with. Fabianski in goal, Kufal, Diop, Metham and Cresswell in defence, Rice, Noble and Souček in the midfield with Hadji, Vlasic and Rodrigo up front. Michail Antonio is back, however, against Chelsea he had an awful game, as did Jared Bowen, as did Pablo Fornals, as did Ben Johnson, as did Craig Dawson. That's why none of those players, I can't even speak, they played that badly. That's why none of them are playing, because they were all awful in that last game. Kurt Zuma has been injured as well. He's still out for another best part of 2 weeks, so we're not going to be risking him. Guiri is coming back to fitness. He's not far away, but he's not quite there yet. And Masuaku, who I didn't want to click on then, not really there either, to be honest with you. So that is the team. That is the squad we're taking to... taken to I keep doing this. Taken to the London Stadium for them to come to us. It's not fully fit. It's not perfect, but it is what we're going to work with, and we're just going to hope for the best in this one, if I'm being honest with you. So, without further ado, West Ham versus Liverpool. Let's go. I suppose a game against Liverpool should be taken into context. Liverpool are a very good side in Football Manager, not just this year, but in last year's as well. Whatever happens in this game is not necessarily a reflection of how good or bad we are. At the end of the day, they're very, very good. So if we lose, it's not the end of the world. However, I'm just worried about having 2 losses on the bounce, how that affects morale when we've been doing so well. If it was the beginning of the season and we were playing these 2 teams, I don't think it would be a big deal. But we're quite deep into the season now. We've kind of cemented ourselves in a European spot. 2 losses could be catastrophic, and I really don't want it to be. Saying that, at the moment, we have started relatively well, and Rodrigo has got in behind the defence here, and he's had his shot saved by Alisson. What an opportunity, and we have got a corner. It will be, I imagine, Cresswell or Hadji to take. I think it's going to be Hadji. It is. Drifts it in, looking for Issa Diop, who heads it just over. Can you imagine if we get 3 points from this after we lost against Chelsea? Can you imagine? As you can see in the table as well, as it stands today, we are currently 5th. We were in 4th for a lot of that little run of games that we had after the Man United game. So we've dropped down a little bit, but still, we're in the position that I really want us to be in. We've started off very well in this game, and we just need to try and maintain it. Again, we've gone to the slightly defensive 4-3-3, slightly more higher tempo 4-3-3, which has worked for us against some of the bigger teams, or at least it stopped us from getting completely blown out. Not against Chelsea, but it's done a job for us, and I'm quite happy with how it's gone. But we need to just try and find ways to make it work better. Souček scored, but it's going to be offside. I think it's been disallowed. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. The goal has gone up in the top left-hand corner. I don't know whether that means it will get given. It has been given. We've scored. Oh, my word. We've scored. I need to be careful because it's like 11:15 at night, and I don't want to wake too many people up. We have actually put it in the back of the net. It's Thomas Souček, who I think I talked about maybe in the last episode. I can't remember if he scored in the last episode, but he went on that really good start to the season where he was scoring all of our goals and plenty of them. And then he's been on a drought really ever since. And he scored a couple of goals recently now. And I can't remember whether you've seen one of those goals or whether I just talked about it or if I've not even mentioned it maybe. But there's another example of how he is back in the goals. We are having a very lovely day. And Liverpool are struggling a little bit. I'm not putting it past them to get back into this game, but for right now, we're doing really well. And I'm still staggered with the 11 that we've got and the way that we're playing. And I'm not gonna begrudge it at all. No changes. Why would we make a change when it's all going so well? Now the question is, will Liverpool do anything to try and get back into the game? That is the question. I do think they had Oxlade-Chamberlain on, not Oxlade-Chamberlain. Alexander-Arnold, I think, did start, and I don't see him there anymore, so I've got a feeling they might have taken him off. We did basically just put everything on him, so he was, I don't think he was being tightly marked, but we were putting him on his weak foot, we were pressing him, and we were going in hard on him. We were basically saying, you're not allowed to play your normal game, and Divock Origi nearly equalises there. So I do think they've made one substitution, and Mark Noble's picked up an injury, which is not ideal. Oh, God, that switched around. Central groin injury, that is not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. Okay, so who do we change then? Who do we change? Souček is going to stay where he is. Declan Rice is going to stay where he is. We could bring Fornals on. I think we'll bring Kral on. Kral can do a job. Carl can do a job there. Defensive midfielder. He's come in a couple of times. He's had some decent performances. Let's just bring him in. Let's just have him play the game. I think it was Thiago who's come on for Ox. Not Ox, Alexander-Arnold. I keep doing that. They've made all 3 changes. We've not made a single one. We probably should. Well, we've actually made one already because of the injury. Pay attention to your own game, Stu. It's probably a good idea. Let's have a look and take off Rodrigo for Mikel Antonio, because Antonio will just bully the defenders. He's the striker, Stu. I can't get my words out today. I really shouldn't be doing this when I should be going to bed, but them's the world I live in. So we'll make that as the change, and then we have got one more. I'll leave the last one for a few minutes, and we'll just go with Mikel Antonio up front and see if he can bully the defence a little bit. Hopefully he can, and I'll press play as well, because that usually helps when you're trying to play a game. They've actually come back into this second half quite a bit, so we do need to be careful. Fortunately, we are on our defensive formation. It's a big lump forward by Kral. Fortunately, Mikel Antonio wasn't anywhere near it. Otherwise, we might have been able to get something going. However, Oxlade-Chamberlain has burst in here. The defence has done really well, though. It's cleared, and Mikel Antonio is there to chase it. He's not really gone about it with much energy, though. But they've given away the ball, and Mikel Antonio, again, he's just second to the ball. And it's over the top. Divock Origi is here, and it is 1-1. We're going to encourage the lads and see if we can maybe just try and stick with what we've got, because after this performance, the last thing we want is another Manchester United game where we give it away at the last moment. What can we do to try and make sure we don't give anything else away? That was really just a ball over the top, and it was a bit disappointing. We are going to drop the lines back ever so slightly. I say ever so slightly, quite a bit actually. We're going to go narrow. We're going to go narrow. We're going to keep everything else the same, I think. We do just want to launch the ball forward if we can get it. Oh, this is difficult now. It's difficult to know what to do. We'll bring Alvarado on for Hadji, I think. Or do we bring him on for Soucek and move things around in the midfield a little bit? Do we do that? Alvarado can go out wide. Hadji can go in the midfield. Hadji can go back to being a central midfielder on attack, next to Kral's central midfielder on defence. See how he does there. Right, we've encouraged the boys. We've made all of the changes that we can. Fortunately, Mikel Antonio at the moment doesn't really seem to want to do anything. I've put him on a deep line forward on support just to see whether we can get the ball and hold it up. That's really what we would like from him at the moment. If we could just not pass the ball around like that, though, that'd be great. Just lump it forward, boys. That'd be preferable. Oh, my words. Right, Diop. Gets it back to Fabianski, who launches it forward looking for Mikel Antonio, who bails out of it completely, but actually does get the ball, and he just gives the ball away. That is my biggest frustration with Mikel Antonio. He is just a lump of a player who occasionally scores a worldie, but unless he's got a worldie in him... Oh my word, if we'd have conceded there, I'd have been furious. Unless he's got the worldie in him on that day, he is pretty superfluous to the game. And he has been pretty useless today so far. And Fabinho nearly scores, and we need to really start being careful here. We are going to slow the play down. We are going to hold on to the ball. We're going to lower these. Let's just hang on. Let's just not worry about anything. Put the line up one more. Let's just keep the ball. Let's not do anything silly. Let's take a point. A point is wonderful. I'll get more than the points here. Hadji whips it in, looking for Diop. Did I mention it's 11:15 at night? And I can't be too excited because that has just got us 3 points against Liverpool. What is happening in this save? I don't even know. I don't even know. When I said that I thought the season was going to fall apart and we were going to just drop down to mid-table after the Chelsea game. Apparently, disregard everything that I was saying. That was insane. I cannot believe we've just pulled that off. I thought for sure Origi scores, My voice is going. Origi scores, and I thought for sure, right, we'll settle for a draw here. No problem at all. No, apparently, Issa Diop, having none of that nonsense, let's go and get the win. Absolutely insane. Right, as I mentioned before, I think I'm going to try and do 3 games in this episode, and we're going to make it a bit of a transfer special. So, I think we're going to come back against Manchester City in one of these games. I think let's come back in the second one. Maybe we come back for Norwich at the end of the month, and then we finish the transfer window. So we're going to get the month of January done in this episode. So we'll make this a bit of an extra long one with those 2 games in. Sorry, the second Manchester City game and then the first Norwich game. First Norwich game? The only Norwich game. We'll play those 2, and any other transfers we'll get in, we'll sprinkle in. So if no other transfer business happens, I will see you at the City of Manchester Stadium on the 11th of January. I just got finished with the Southampton game, so we've come back a little bit early just to show you that the transfers that we had arranged have now arrived. Julian Alvarez, 21-year-old striker, 3.5 stars, current ability. I believe he's got 5-star potential or somewhere near it. He is a very, very good striker. 5-star potential, there you go. And everyone's really happy with that. Might be an absolute bargain. I'm inclined to agree. Looks very, very good. And James Tarkowski, he was a 3-star defender, but now he's 2.5-star, which is a little bit disappointing. However, I think he'll still do a job for us. Just as a backup central defender, he'll do a job for us this season. We'll be cup tied if we make any progress in the Carabao Cup, but it is what it is. We'll deal with that. We've also sold Craig Dawson, which apparently James Tarkowski doesn't look ready to replace him yet. Well, he's 29 years old, so he's got to be ready soon. And Randolph as well. To be honest, we were never going to use Darren Randolph unless it was literally let's throw in him just for the fun of it. But Craig Dawson, I feel a little bit sad about that one because he did do a job for us every now and then, including in the Southampton game. I'll very, very quickly show you that we did win that game 3-2. Craig Dawson actually scoring the first goal in that one. As you can see from this, it was a comeback. Dawson scored. Southampton scored twice. And then we scored twice in the second half to finish things off. Mikel Antonio, at his wasteful best, did actually have a goal disallowed as well, but could have had a hat-trick just based on chances alone. Very disappointing from him still, but he's still doing very well. But Jared Bowen scoring an absolute wild ears. I'm sure future Stu is going to edit into this little bit here. It was a wonderful goal. The keeper didn't do a great job with it, Alex McCarthy, but it was one of those. I'll take what we can get, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'm going to go and play the Manchester City and QPR games, and then I'll be back either with some transfer news or for that Manchester City game in the second leg. So, full disclosure, I played through a couple of games, and yeah, I kind of forgot that I was going to come back for this game. So, I literally just started, and as I was starting the game, I thought, oh yeah, you were meant to do the thing. You were meant to come back for this, weren't you? So I've come back literally as the game has begun. You can see what the score was in the first leg there. It was 4-3. I'm going to try and, if I click on one of the players, yeah, we do it this way. So since you were last with us, which was, I think, just after the Southampton game, you saw that result. We did play Manchester City in the first leg. I was heartbroken at the end of this game. As you can see, we were, I believe, 2-0 up. No, it was 1-0 up to us. Had you scored, Kevin De Bruyne then equalised, but then Julian Alvarez on his debut getting a very important goal, and Issa Diop then after that getting a third. We were 3-1 up. Ilkay Gundogan then battered us in 2 minutes with a couple of goals, and then a very late goal from a corner. Aymeric Laporte made it 4-3 to Manchester City away from home. So chances are we are going to get knocked out of this game. I think that's probably why I was flying through it. I wasn't really thinking about it. But yeah, it looks like we are going to be getting out of the Carabao Cup, which is a bit frustrating. But then we did go to the Kian Prince Foundation Stadium at QPR, and we did beat them 4-1. Julian Alvarez scoring on his second appearance for the club, and James Tarkowski actually opening the scoring with a header from a corner on his debut as well. So all good things there. But none of that matters because we're in the middle of a match against Manchester City. So let's try that again, shall we? As you can see, the starting lineup is Fabianski in goal, Kufal, Diop, Zuma and Cresswell in defence, with Kral, Souček and Hadji in the midfield, Benrahma and Vlasic on the wings, and Alvarez, after scoring 2 goals in 2 games, most definitely up front. We have got a few players who are cup tied, Metham and Tarkowski, 2 of them. And Antonio and Alvarado are both on international duty, so that's why they're not involved today. But to begin with, we're doing pretty well, similarly to how we were doing in the first leg, although that was a bit of a weird free kick from Cresswell, bit of a disappointing one as well. And I've got a feeling it could lead to a Manchester City attack, which is not ideal. Stones getting forward, but he doesn't find the pass to his teammate, and Cresswell tried to get something going, but Alvarez wasn't able to get on the end of the ball there. He's impressed me so far, Alvarez, straight in the team, and he scored 2 goals. Can't say much more than that, really. Hadji now on the ball, looking for Ben Rama. Ben Rama is in, and Ben Rama hits it straight at Scott Carson. Again, it is quite late while I'm recording this. It's actually about 1 o'clock, and yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning, so I do have to be kind of careful how loud I am. Scott Carson comes and claims that. Nice to see Scott Carson getting a game for Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. We started well in this game. Manchester City have started better than they did in the first game. They took a long time to get going. But we've started pretty well so far. I don't think it's going to be enough. I feel like Manchester City are way too good to get knocked out of this competition by us. They're already ahead in the tie from the first leg, the ridiculous first leg. I don't think it's going to be our year in this competition. And I think Raheem Sterling is just going to tap that home. It might even be an own goal. It's an own goal. Vladimir Kufal pokes it into his own net. That is incredibly disappointing. This is really innocuous as well. Raheem Sterling didn't have to do anything. That's really poor from Kufal. Really, really poor. We're going to have a shout at him for that, because he shouldn't be doing that whatsoever. He's gone down to a 6.1. Diop and Zuma are having a poor game as well. We've just... I mean, we were already probably out of the tournament, but I think we've probably knocked ourselves out here, and the problem is we do not actually have any other defenders to bring on. They just weirdly move around. Maybe we could bring Declan Rice on. I mean, he's coming off. There's no two ways about it. He's coming off. We're going to bring Kurt Zuma on onto right back, and then we're going to bring Declan Rice on, I think, as a ball-playing defender. Don't really want to do that, but Kufal's not staying on after that. Woeful bit of defending. Individual. We'll have a quick chat with some of these guys just to try and G them up a little bit. Do that, see if we can get them going. But Kufal's performance was absolutely woeful. If we can get another goal, all of a sudden it's game on again. But they have been defending very well in this first half, and yeah, I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe. Oh, what a goal that is by Kevin De Bruyne. It is what it is. It is what it is. This is kind of what happened in the other game. For a while, they weren't really doing much, and then all of a sudden, they just started pumping goals past us. That's really disappointing. I'm going to encourage, just try and lift them a little bit. One standard width, so I don't know why we were so narrow then. Quite disappointing. Alvarez and Vlasic not having good games. I think they're the next candidates to come off. Fabianski's having a shocker. Fabianski came into the team during that run of games around the Man United game, because Areola was having a shocking run of games. Fabianski's now in the middle of one of those as well. Kurt Zuma is having a terrible time out there. But again, we've got no one to really bring on for him. That's all we can really do. Kind of rolled over in this game a little bit, and it's been disappointing. We're going to go very attacking, and we're going to demand more, but nothing else we can do at this point. We've had a really poor performance in this one. And at least it's over, but it's not the last time we're going to have to play Manchester City in this month. I was going to say. Really not happy. I mean, only 2-0 against Manchester City. I suppose we should look at that and say that it's a decent performance in that regard. But some of the ratings there were woeful, and we kind of just let them roll over us, to be honest with you. So that is a little bit disappointing. But it is what it is. We're past the game and we move on. But Kufal, I think, has got some splaining to do, because that was a very, very poor own goal to concede. A very poor own goal. As I said, Ricardo Calafiore is the signing that we've actually made recently. It's a left back from Roma. 20, not even 20 years old, actually. He's 19 years old. On loan. We're paying some of his wages, but I don't think we're paying all of them. We might be, I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, we were trying to get him or Caio Henrique. Caio Henrique, we couldn't agree a deal with the club even though he wanted to come, so we've gone with Calafiore, with the idea being it should free us up to sell Masuaku, who is under a bid from Al Ali. We recalled Manuel Lanzini as well, because I want to try and sell him, but he doesn't want to leave either. He's being a little bit stubborn. But yeah, a little bit disappointing from that game, but we go again, and I'll see you at the Norwich game at the end of the month, barring any other transfer business. We're going to play those games against Tottenham and Manchester City now. Wish me luck. And Masuaku has officially left the club, £4.9 million, with a selling team wage contribution of £6,000 a week, which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot. He was on 40,000. We've got him off the books. The majority of his wages have gone off the books. We've got some money in, which leaves the finances looking like this. So the overall balance is still pretty decent. That's all good. We've got no other transfer incomings planned at the moment. Doesn't mean that there won't be any. Right, in the next cut, hopefully we'll either be at a new transfer signing or sale, or the Norwich game, one or the other, or an interesting piece of news. But what you might notice is that my attire is magically going to change. By that I mean it's 1 o'clock in the morning, or 1:30, or whatever time it is. 1:30, that's the time. So I'm probably going to call it a night here, and then the next time you see me, it'll be the next morning by the power of mysterious editing from Future Stu. So I will catch you guys either at an interesting piece of news or the Norwich game, just like this. There we go. That's better. To be fair, the only thing that's really changed is the t-shirt, and that's about it. We are back. We are ready for the Norwich game. Just before we go... Pardon me. Great timing to have a burp come through just after you've had a drink of tea. Just before we get into that game, though, just to quickly show you how the run has gone. It's been very, very good. I'm still a little bit amazed it's been as good as it has. We beat Tottenham in the derby, which I really didn't expect to happen. I thought we were going to get stomped in that game, although Højbjerg's red card definitely helped us out. Man City, we managed to get a draw against them in a game in the league. Apparently in the league, we're fine against them, but if it's a cup competition, not so much. But we did then struggle to a draw against Brighton, which was a little bit concerning. So we do need to probably be a bit worried about that. As you can see, the next round of the FA Cup has been drawn against Fleetwood. Marvellous. I'll take that. But for today, it's going to be Norwich. I say for today. Keep forgetting this is not a new episode. This is what happens when I record part of an episode one day and the other part another day. I'll get very confused. So, we're going to go back to the London Stadium, back to our home ground, and we're going to hopefully stomp Norwich into the ground. Before that, though, a couple of transfers that we've done. All of them, bar one, are for next season. So, bear that in mind when I say these. Matthias Ginter is going to be joining us in the summer. I think he's a very good defender, and I think he's going to really help our back line out. Christ knows we need it, I think, at the moment. Andreas Garcia is a young kid who's coming in. He hasn't got a work permit at the moment, but once he comes in, we will be loaning him out in order to get one. And Gloria and Zingo has come in. Same without a work permit, but we are sending him out on loan as well. Just realised he's Irish. Didn't think he was. Interesting. But we signed those guys. And we've also sold, finally, Manuel Lanzini. £4 million, not the most we could have got for him. However, we have got his wage budget. His wages off the wage budget. And we're paying a little bit, I think, but for the most part, we've got that money back, which does mean, as you can see, we've got 125k of wage budget available. We have got a little bit of transfer budget as well, but I'm thinking we're going to save these and just see whether we can maybe renew some contracts in the summer if we need to. But enough of that nonsense. We're going to get into the Norwich game. And this is going to be the team that hopefully takes us to a win. So, we're going to be starting with Fabianski in goal. Kufal, Diop, Metham and Cresswell in the defence. Souček and Rice in midfield. Bowen, Fornals and Vlasic as the attacking midfield three. Supporting Julian Alvarez, who, by the way, has scored 5 goals in like 7 games or something like that. Well, there you go. Premier League, he scored 3 in 3. FA Cup, he scored 1 in 1. Carabao Cup, he scored 1 in 2. The man is a goal machine. He is incredible. And hopefully he can continue doing that today. So, without further ado, let's go. One thing to bear in mind here is that Norwich are having a very good season. They're currently 11th, which when you consider how they're doing in real life is pretty incredible. I mean, it doesn't matter because we've scored early on. I was giving them a compliment and then we go and score. How rude of us. Thomas Souček. I mean, it's a Souček special. It's a corner from Cresswell into his head, and he just heads it in because that's what Thomas Souček does. It's a good corner. We've been very good at set pieces this season. And Thomas Souček has been very good in the air and on the ground as well, to be honest. So that's a great start. It's exactly the start we wanted. We do kind of want to win this game after back-to-back draws. Again, admittedly, one of them against Manchester City, the other one against Brighton wasn't so impressive. It does have to be said, though, you look at the teams around us, we're ahead of Man City and Tottenham. So, Manchester City will consider themselves having a very, very poor season. We're not going to do it again, are we? We are, you know, but I think it's been disallowed. The goal's ticked over in the top right, top left-hand corner, so maybe, just maybe, we've got lucky here. Declan Rice is the one who headed it in. John Moss is asking for clarification, and the clarification is that it is disallowed. It did look a little bit funky. It would have been nice to see Declan Rice score because he has been on a bit of a poor run recently. I mean, that's unfair. I would suggest it's probably not Declan Rice who was offside. It might have been Chris Metham. Declan Rice was very close to being offside, but Metham is the one who was, you could argue, was interfering with play. It's going to encourage the lads a little bit because really, we've not been good value for this 1-0 lead, and we do need to be very, very careful. Let's say that. Let's say that, and we're just going to have a quick chat to some of these guys and just try and get them to pull their socks up a little bit because there are some poor performances out here so far. I'm not going to be quite harsh on Julian Alvarez yet, just because I do think he is going to be one of those players who is going to take a little while to settle in, and he's just surprised us with the really good start he's had so far. I'm just going to demand a bit more from the lads because I do think there's more in the gas tank at the moment. We're lucky that they've not really kicked on today because if they had, I think we'd be in a bit of trouble. And saying that, they've now got a highlight where they're getting in, but we have got defenders back. We should be defending this no problem, and we have done. We've got it to Alvarez, and Alvarez now is going to turn and try and run. He actually holds it up and gets it to Bowen, who plays Alvarez through. Is Alvarez going to score another goal? He is, because that is what Julian Alvarez does. A 6th goal of the season, a 4th Premier League goal in 4 Premier League games. Julian Alvarez makes it 2 on the day. We've not looked very good, but we have had a poorish run of games. Probably the poorest run of games we've had all season. Back-to-back draws. We had a couple of losses against Man City as well. So maybe, just maybe, I'm being a bit harsh. Maybe we should take what we've got here. The result is the most important thing. It is the most important thing at the end of the day. And I think we can be quite proud of the fact we're 2-0 up and not playing very well, actually. That's something that I think sometimes you can almost take that as a victory in and of itself. Right, we are going to make a couple of changes. Alvarado, who we have fallen out with, by the way. I'll talk to you about that after the game. And Hadji, they can be the 2 who come on. We're going to leave Declan Rice on. And hopefully he can sort himself out because he's not had a good run recently, actually. We did start Fornals today because in the last couple of games he's played really well. But, of course, the second I put the camera back on, he doesn't. So Hadji can come back in and hopefully do something. They are still having chances and we're not, which is very concerning. So we need to sort that out. I'm going to take Chris Metham off and Kurt Zuma is going to come on, actually. And I'm going to put Soucek on defend. And we're just going to try and sort them out a little bit because I'm a little bit concerned with the amount of chances we're letting them have. So if we can just get the ball, maybe time waste a little bit, hold shape and slow the pace down. We'll distribute it to the fullbacks as well. Let's just do that for a bit. I think we just do that. Just try and get the game by the scruff of the neck, but not do a lot with it. We're just going to get the... Or we'll just score a third. I mean, that works. I literally, as that was coming up, I was like, he's going to have a shot, and I can't see why that would go in. Apparently it did. Ianis Hadji with yet another goal. Not necessarily a worldie. We've seen Hadji score 1 or 2 worldies, I think. Or was that last year? Well, I don't know. This is what happens when you use players more than once. It's not a very good strike, and Tim Krul just spills it into the net. Again, chances-wise, Norwich have been better. XG-wise, we really haven't earned 3 goals, but none of that matters because we've won the game. It wasn't a vintage performance from West Ham. However, we have got the 3 points, and that is all that matters. I'm going to say that one because really that was a poor performance. In the grand scheme of things, we should have done a lot better. Right. Okay, so the next game is against Fleetwood. I don't know if we're necessarily going to play that one. If we have a look at the schedule, I was going to take us all the way to the end of the transfer window today, but to be honest with you, unless anything dramatic happens, I don't think we're going to do any extra business. So we're going to leave the episode here, and then we're going to see where we come back next. Might have noticed in the edit that the little frame that's around me at the moment has changed colour. It's because I realised I had the wrong frame on for the entirety of that recording. That's what happens when you start recording a video the next day and you're very tired from waking up. So, apologies. I've completely stuffed that up, but I've got the right frame on now, so all is good. I'm going to be bold here. We're going to skip February because there's not really any interesting games there. So we're going to come back in March. We're going to play Definitely, I would say the second leg of the Europa League. We'll play that one, and then we'll play one of Newcastle or Everton. So we'll go all the way through to March. We'll play one of these games, and we'll play the second leg of the Europa Cup, which we don't know who we've got in that competition yet. So we're waiting to find out. But whoever it is, hopefully, that'll be us winning and going through to the next round. That'd be lovely. So, with all of that said, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel as well for more Football Manager awesomeness. But with all of that said, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.